All right. Looks like we're on. Everything's good. Everything looks like a go. Thank you y'all for joining us on this live stream this evening. Sorry for the delay, but this is our live on slow mode. Our 60-second live on slow mode. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for joining. The topic of today, if you go to our official website, www.slowmoed.com, the topic today is anti-African Moorish social media accounts cyberbullying so-called black people. So today we're going to address some of the counter operations against African Moorish history and science and culture and self-knowledge, and we're going to provide a lot of information for you guys. Not sure how long this live stream is going to last. I apologize once again. I apologize for the late delay. We just got done from traveling through different portals, so thank y'all for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to our official YouTube channel, and also make sure you guys check out our live on slow mode playlist. We have a variety of playlists available on our YouTube channel. Hang on, let me get the YouTube channel URL just to show y'all where it is, where y'all can find the playlist on our live on slow mode playlist right here. If you see here, we have all of our playlists here. Let me go to our YouTube really quickly. Alright, so if y'all look here, this is our official YouTube page. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't. If you go to our playlist, or even if you scroll down, you'll see past playlists. Make sure y'all watch these, put them on repeat. While you're at work or working out, you can learn a lot of information. Let me put on my hang on. It's not working. Why isn't it working? Hang on. I want to show our mouse. But it isn't turning on, unfortunately. Oh man, that's unfortunate. Okay, so go to our playlist, live on slow mode. Our mouse. We have a playlist. Make sure y'all watch all these, put them on repeat. But without further ado, let's get into the topic of today. The cyber bullies that are against African Moorish history. I've been running to a couple of accounts. They have a lot of things to say in regards to African Moorish history. So let me pull up some comments for y'all so y'all can see for yourselves. Okay. We have accounts, certain accounts that are following our channel, and they have a lot of things to say in regards to African Moorish contributions to quote unquote dark skinned people. So if you look here, this is by the YouTube channel Building 7. This is their latest video, Kaba Kamene, from ancient Egypt to the Moors, setting the record straight. And in this video, Kaba Hawata Kamene goes through the details of the origin of the word Moor. And I recently purchased Kaba Hawata Kamene's recent book, Who Were the Moors Before the Moors. So he gives a in-ground description of the Moors, and I flipped through it. I haven't read all of it, but I see that he's making the connection between the African Moors as opposed to just Islam, as opposed to what the Moorish Science Temple of America is doing. What the Moorish Science Temple of America is doing are members or certain members of the ancient free Moorish rite. What they're doing is only making the connection to Moors, to Islam, or Noble Ali, and they're not connecting it to the African continent as if it's like separate or something. So what he's did is he's provided a lot of information in here and a lot of references, and even traced the etymology of Moor to the hieroglyphics of Mur, or love, like loving the soil, the ancient hieroglyphics. So this is before the word mauros from the Greeks, and is mentioned by J.A. Rogers in his book Nature Knows No Color Line, that the origin of the word Moor is African, as opposed to what's been told. Let me bring up Nature Knows No Color Line. Is an African word imported by the Greeks. Let me search for this page for you guys. But yes, Dr. Kabahaiwata Kamene, I call him Doctor because we all know where the origin of doctors came from, unless, well, some of us don't. Okay, so right now I'm showing the book Nature Knows No Color Line. Nature Knows No Color Line. On the ebook is page 63. Hang on. Okay. On the ebook is page 63. Let me bring up the other, the ebook on archive.com or .org. Let me get that for you guys. Hang on with me. Bear with me. Okay. So here is the ebook. I'm just put that right here. So my mouse isn't working right today for some reason. I don't have the highlighter. It's not coming on, so I don't know what's going on. But if y'all see here on page 53 of Nature Knows No Color Line, it says here, later Moor seemed to have come into fashion. This too was an African word imported into the Greek to describe black people, that is, moros, black. The word Mauritania in Greek meant, quote, black, end quote, says Harper. Still later came, quote, Niger, end quote, from the river of that name. That's from J.A. Rogers. The same thing is said right here on this scribed ebook, but this is page 93 if you look down here. I don't know. Oh, y'all can't see it. Okay. So if you look right here, in Rome, the Negroes first called Ethiops. The Romans took that name from the Greeks, who took it from the Africans. Later, quote, Moor, end quote, seemed to come into fashion. This too was an African word imported into the Greek to describe black people. That is, moros, black. The word Mauritania in Greek meant, quote, black, end quote, says Harper. Still later came, quote, Niger, end quote, from the river of that name. It is likely that the people from Nigrita, land of the Niger, or now Nigeria, brought that word into the language of the Romans, and since they were black-skinned, quote, Niger, end quote, came to mean, quote, black, end quote. Originally, the Latin for black was, quote, ater, end quote, but later the terms became interchangeable. Okay? So, Kabahaiwata Kamene, he was breaking this down. In this in this video by Building 7, the host Amadeus Christ. So he interviewed him. Make sure y'all give this a watch because this is very important, as opposed to the brainwashing that's been going on YouTube in regards to the Moorish Science Temple of America. Now, I am not affiliated or a part of the Moorish Science Temple of America, so I have read the pamphlet by Noble Drew Ali, the Horan, the Holy Quran Circle 7. I have read it. I've read it multiple times, and yes, and this is good information, right? However, it doesn't trace the etymology of the word Moor. It doesn't break it down and go into explaining like J.A. Rogers did. Later, Moor, seeing that come into fashion, this too was an African word. Okay, Noble Drew Ali unfortunately didn't do this in the Holy Quran. Neither did he do it in his 101 questions, his other pamphlet or other book. And so what Dr. Kabahawatha did was basically break it down. So make sure y'all check it out. Buy his book. I know there's paywalls. I know we need this information now, but I do understand that people have to make a living. So we have to support our brothers. So we have these accounts, these counterintelligence accounts. So wherever I place a comment, these accounts tend to follow anything in regards to African Moorish history. Let me bring this up so y'all can see. It's loading pretty slow here. So I commented on this video. We need every celebrity, news outlet, or a big platform saying this. 4228, which I'll go to.
And that's why I wrote the book. Who was a Moor? Everybody is a Moor.
Let me back it up just so y'all can see.
I have something to say. But I have to put it in 5 books. Because this is the Moors before the Moors. Because everybody got big mouth. Okay? Everybody talking about who the Moors were. I ain't black. I'm a Moor. I'm Negro. I'm African American. I'm foundational black American. Everybody is a Moor. And that's why I wrote the book, Who Were the Moors Before the Moors? Because we tend to, Brother Amadeus, focus on the years 711 to 1492. Mm-hmm. But who were the Moors that went into Spain? Who were they in 709? Who were they in 707? I've got chapters on the Olympics. The word Olympic itself comes from Nigeria. Comes from the word, comes from the language of the Yoruba of West Nigeria. Olu. O with O as a prefix, and then Lu, mountain. Mountain. That's where the Greeks got Mount Olympus from. See, the point that I'm trying to make right now is something that Dr. Clark used to always tell me and tell us. We're always focused on Egypt, but all of Africa is great.
Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. Make sure y'all checked out this video, but that was the part that I had timestamped. Everybody is a Moor by Dr. Kabahawatha. This will clear up this nonsense. So there are some accounts that follow my page, and they have and they challenge African Moorish history as if Homo sapien didn't originate in the continent of what we call Africa. according to the evidence that's been presented within the past 50 years. And even longer than that, if you go to scholars like Arthur Abernethy in his book, The Jew and Negro, written in the 19th century. If it would load the comments, like, I don't know what's going on. So I'm not using these examples to attack these quote-unquote anti-Moorish or anti-African Moor accounts. I'm just shedding light on what the counter operations are against the African Moorish movement or African Moorish research, I suppose. So it's not loading the comments, but we got plenty of examples. While in the meantime, let me go to Twitter or X, because there are some other accounts that are trying to discredit anything that has to do with Black history or African American or African Moorish history. Oh, shout out to Sauce Walker. He opened up 2 new stores in North Carolina, Charlotte. THC. Okay, let me bring up our official Twitter page. Make sure y'all follow our Twitter page. We tend to keep our updates on here. As you can see, possible 15 to 20 minute start delay for this live stream. On this post, I shared some of the information that y'all could have watched and prepared before this live stream uploaded. So you see here we have why they fear African Moorish history and science. This is our previous live stream. The enemies of African Moorish science, previous live stream. And I listed one of the accounts that are against African Moorish or Black people. So this is the Twitter account, the X report card. Now, Fear the Rue, Unstoppable, Join the Flying Monkeys, correct? This is who this guy, still Devon Tracy. Now, I'm gonna give a little brief synopsis on my evaluation of this account. Okay, so there are a lot of accounts, faceless accounts, that hide behind their faceless accounts and basically criticize and give negative energy, negative light towards anybody of dark-skinned people. And this is one of the accounts that does it. So we don't know, at least I don't know who this guy is, but it's faceless content. Now, this person doesn't seem to be as bold as the YouTube channel or Twitter page Nick Fuentes. He's not as bold, so let me show one of his videos.
It is them living. This is what black horror is. It is them living out revenge porn fantasies. So they demonize white people and say, you are villains in our lives, and we are going to literally cast you as a villain in a horror movie. Then we're going to kill you. And then we're going to say, oh no, we weren't killing you, white people. We were killing the villains in our horror movie. Oh right, a horror movie you made intentionally so that you could kill white people and get off on killing white people. You fucks. And by the way, you kill white people about 20 times more than we kill you. And you kill black people about 1,000,000 times more than we kill black people. You kill black people more than the Klan could ever dream of killing black people, or did. The Klan killed a few thousand in the entirety of their lives, and even that number is in question. And if you want to get super advanced, a lot of the people that died deserve to die.
We are us. Join the flying monkeys.
Okay, so if y'all watch that video, you can see that whoever is behind this account, they're clearly ignorant. Now, they obviously don't know the history of the Night Orders, which is where the Klan came from. It came from the Night Orders that was established against the Saracens back in medieval times during the Crusades. So this account, I don't know who the guy is. He could possibly be a knight himself. So the thing is, whoever is behind this account is probably initiated in a secret order, for all we know. Okay, so the points that he's making,
and say you are villains in our lives, and we are going to literally cast you as a villain in a horror movie. Then we're going to kill you. And then we're going to say, oh no, we weren't killing you, white people. We were killing the villains in our horror movie. Oh, right.
Okay, so we have to understand, since this is an ignorant account or ignorant person hiding behind the faceless content, he's just saying white, 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 black, 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 not understanding the origin of Homo sapiens, and that Homo sapiens come from the interior of Africa. So he's just ignorant, and he's just saying stuff, and he's not giving any references for his statistics. As you can see, like,
a horror movie you made intentionally so that you could kill white people and get off on killing white people. You fucks. And by the way, you kill white people about 20 times more than we kill you.
Where's the statistics for quote unquote black people killing more white people than quote unquote white people? Then where's the evidence? He's just saying stuff. This video has 14 million views. He pins it on top of his timeline of his post, so anybody that comes to his page, they see this, and you know, it has a lot of influence. But the thing is, it's ignorant, because whoever this faceless content guy is, he's ignorant, and he's not providing any evidence.
And you kill black people about 1,000,000 times more than we kill black people. You kill black people more than the Klan could ever dream of killing black people, or did. The Klan killed a few thousand in the entirety of their lives.
And that's supposed to be a good thing? You know, are we not going to bring up what the Knights were doing to the African-moors, which are the quote-unquote black people, that occurred 500 to 800 years ago? Are we not going to talk about the Crusades, the slaughter of the Jews in Jerusalem that took place 900 to 1,000 years ago? Are we not going to bring up the Crusades? But he's using these connotative meanings, black and white, but not giving any evidence. He's just saying stuff.
And even that number is in question. And if you want to get super advanced,
so he just said that even that number of the Klan killing quote-unquote black people is in question. Okay, so the Klan has origins in Knights Templar. It's traced back through Knights Templar. Let me show some evidence. Looking at my books here. So I guess I'll use the journey of the Songhai people. So first I want to start off with the killings of, I can't pull up the journey of the Songhai people on the screen because there isn't an ebook available. And excuse me, I'm looking for the page. Okay, so we have on page 268 of Journey of the Songhai People. So I guess I try to show it as best as I could. Right next to it is the next page is the epilogue, trying to achieve the Esprit de Corpus. So I'm going to start on page 268. It says here, the mourning for the 100 million murdered. It is estimated that over 100 millions of Africans were murdered during the 400 years of Africa's invasions. One day there has to be an international mourning period throughout the diaspora so that the healing of the psyche will begin. The mourning will be for those murdered during those invasions of the beautiful cities and provinces of the homeland by the Europeans and Arabs. The mourning will be for those killed during the brutal forced marches from the inland areas to the Atlantic shores, for those murdered, raped, sodomized, and killed in the confinement rooms and in the chambers of no return, in the holding dungeons of Africa's west coastline, for those tortured and murdered on the 1,000 ships of death on their way to the American lands of degradation. Whose bones bleach with white, whose bones bleach white with time lie like seashells on the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. For those bludgeoned to death, worked to death, lashed to death on the plantations of America, for our tens of thousands of beautiful mothers raped, sodomized, then killed in the thousands of European American sex orgies, for those who gave their last full measure of devotion to the freedom of this country as volunteers in every war of the United States, which rejected and still reject their intrinsic value. Then, after a half million of our fathers and mothers won America's Civil War, we mourn for those tens of thousands tortured and disemboweled or burned alive in the lynchings of Euro-American bloodthirsty illegal mobs, and the thousands lynched by bloodthirsty legal mobs, the police. We honor and pour libations to the memory of those 100 million fathers and mothers who died that we may live. Okay, so that's hundreds of millions. And whoever this ignorant account is, this cyber bully, the ex-report card, whoever he is, while he's hiding behind this kangaroo and not showing his face, not bold enough to show his face, is very cowardly. So the information that he's portraying of the image of the quote-unquote black people is inaccurate and is wrong. And I'll just say not wrong, but incorrect. And it's based off of ignorance and hate. So he has no evidence. He's presenting no evidence. And we have evidence by legum doctors providing this evidence. So Juris Doctors providing this evidence. So we don't know who the ex-report card is, but he just has something to say against quote-unquote black people because he seems to hate quote-unquote black people. And seems to be a movie critic. So this is one of the cyber bullies that are on social media, and they use their accounts to promote hatred as opposed to promoting evidence. So, and this is all his opinion.
And a lot of the people that died deserve to die.
So a lot of the people, so what he's basically saying is that a lot of the people during the 400 years that the African continent was invaded, deserve to die. This is the type of account that needs to be addressed, because whoever the X report card is, he's spewing ignorance and he's spewing hate, and it needs to be checked. So basically what the X report card is saying is that the Spanish Inquisition was meant to happen for the quote-unquote black people's ancestors, who are the Moors and the Jews who were burned to the faggots. So let's read a little bit out here by Jean Plady, and I will pull up the book. I wonder if that other dang too. I forgot to put on some music. Excuse me while I do that for y'all. Put on some music for y'all. Put on some ambience. I got taken away. I was just traveling to get here to this live stream. Took a lot. Meant to make it at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, but we got held back on some things. Let me... Drop a comment. Wow, I can't even find it. Wow. I'm looking for my likes. I don't know where the likes are. YouTube is just sloppy. Wow. I don't even know where my likes are. Royalty. Okay, here's my like videos. I'm trying to look for okay, here we go. Okay, I was gonna read a little bit of The Spanish Inquisition by Jean Plady. Just to show some of the horrible things that that was done to quote unquote black people, that the X report card seems to believe that should have happened to quote unquote black people. So the Inquisition started in 1208 AD, or Common Era. So if you see here, I'll search for the term rape or grape. Now to tie into the journey of the Songhai people. So the Night Orders go all the way back, which are the origins of the KKK or Ku Klux Klan. Now this is the growth of the Spanish Inquisition by Jean Pilaty. So I'm gonna start right here. It was on the 16th of May, 1509, that the fleet set out for Mazzaquivir. When they landed, Ximenes on his mule rode along beside the soldiers. Affair in the Franciscan costume, riding before him carrying the huge silver cross. Trouble broke out between Ximenes and Navarro before the battle. Navarro wished the troops to rest before going into action, but Ximenes answered that the battle was to be one between Jesus Christ and the false prophet Muhammad, and the sooner it was begun, the better. The soldiers, worried from the march, were naturally more ready to support Navarro than Ximenes, but the latter then addressed them with all his fiery eloquence, reminding them of the raids which had taken place along the Spanish coast and the many Spaniards who had been abducted and taken off to slavery, and who could say that what torture and misery. He did not forget, however, to stress the wealth of their enemies and the booty which awaited capture. Then, because he himself was not interested in booty, but in the souls of the infidel, he went on to remind them, and perhaps the recording angel, that he came at the peril of his life in the service of the faith. The fleet bombarded the town, and the sea mist was of the utmost help to the Spaniards. Ximenes remained at Mazzaquivir, praying while the soldiers went into action. In a few hours, Oran had surrendered. The conduct of the victorious soldiers was brutal. It is ironical to consider that they had marched forward under the sign of the cross. Murder, grape or rape, and pillage were hideously practiced in the streets of Oran, and it was not until the men were weary of bloodshed, bloated with food, and drunk with wine stolen from the inns and houses that they ceased inflicting these horrors on the unfortunate population of Oran. Then they lay snoring in the squares among the mutilated and the dead. 4,000 Moors were said to have been slaughtered on that day, and between 5,000 and 8,000 made prisoners. Christian losses were said to have been slight. Okay, and y'all can see that, y'all can read the rest. We read the rest on our other live stream, but as you can see, so this adds on to the 100 million that according to the Journey Song Our People page 268 that we just read, the 100 million mourning for the 100 million murdered, it is estimated that over 100 million Africans were murdered during the 400 years of Africa's invasions. So this took place in 1500s. The invasion of Orient and by the Christians in pursuit of the African Moors. So this wasn't even in the 100 million year span, 4-year span that these legum doctors are explaining in this book. So does the ex-report card know this? While he's bashing black horror is nothing more than revenge porn against whites. So does he understand English? Does he know that the quote-unquote black people are Moors or African Moors? Does he know that? Does he know that quote-unquote whites is in reference to free white persons, and free white persons doesn't mean Caucasian race according to Black's Law Dictionary? Let's see if it's in here. This is Othello's Children by Jose V. Pimenta Bay, PhD. Let's see if we can find it. Oh. It would have been helpful if this book had an index. I can't even show the book on here. Okay. I was gonna bring up Black's Law Dictionary, but it's not. They took the book down, which is to be understood. They're trying to hide African Moorish history and information, so we have to understand that. Where's this page at? Excuse me while I look through this. I gotta find this page. Oh, here we go. Naturalization Act. Okay, here we go. So on page, I thought you had Black's Law Dictionary in here. Trying to look, just see, get everything. Okay, so on page 127 of Othello's Children, says one should recognize how such practices of legal reclassification attributed to the disappearance of, quote, Indian, end quote, identity under the official enslavement designate of, quote, black, end quote, Negro, end quote, and colored, end quote. It should also be blatantly clear that such terms are representative of oppression, limited rights, and enslavement. So, if you see the X report card,
this is what black horror is. It is them living out revenge porn fantasies. So they demonize white people and say, you are villains in our lives, and we are going to literally cast you as a villain in a horror movie, then we're going to kill you. And then we're going to say, oh no, we weren't killing you, white people. We were killing the villains in our horror movie. Alright, a horror movie you made intentionally so that you could kill white people and get off on killing white people.
Okay, so as you see, like the term black is said by a PhD. Okay, it's said by this PhD that it should also be blatantly clear that such terms are representative of oppression, limited rights, and enslavement. So this is on page 127 by PhD. So I don't know if still Devon Tracy or the X report card is a PhD or legum doctor or whatever, but let me continue on the page. Quote, white, end quote, Africans in the U.S., and it says here, in the Shaheed case of 1913, Judge Smith referred to the, quote, First Naturalization Act of 1790, end quote, in order to explain its inclusion of certain African peoples as, quote, white, end quote. Smith said these, quote, free white persons, end quote, included the mixed Latin, Celtic, Iberian, and Moorish inhabitants of Spain and Portugal, the mixed Greek, Latin, Phoenician, and North African inhabitants of Sicily, and the mixed Slav and Tartar inhabitants of South Russia. It includes people containing blood of very mixed races. Imp mine. Okay? And this is from, that reference is from the book by Lopez, White by Law, page 215, 216. Let's see if we can search that up. Put that on the screen. by Haney Lopez. Can we get that on archive? Let's see. Probably not. Looks like we were able to get the book. So let's bring it to the screen. So this is the book White by Law by Ian Haney Lopez. And it's saying the reference right here is on page 215. So it's on this page. Okay, here we go. So here's the page. I'm gonna start over here. So, still Davon Tracy or the X report card is saying white, black, black, right? Black people this, black people that, white people this, white people that, right? So, I'm going to start on page 214 of White by Law, right here. Hopefully y'all can see the screen. Hopefully it's not too small text. But unfortunately I couldn't... I think it's Power Toys. There we go. Finally. Power Toys. Thank goodness. Okay. Now this helps out a lot so y'all can follow along with me. Okay, so I'm gonna start on page 214. Quote: the provisions of this title shall apply to aliens being free white persons, and to aliens of African nativity, and to persons of African descent. End quote. The phrase, quote, free white persons, end quote, was used in the first naturalization statute approved March 26, 1790. And the phrase, quote, aliens of African nativity and to persons of African descent, end quote, was incorporated in the amendatory statute approved July 14, 1870. As so phrased, the language of the statute is about as open to many constructions as it possibly could be. Who is free white person, and who is a person of African nativity or of African descent? It has been decided that the Chinese, Japanese, Malays, and American Indians do not belong to the white race and therefore excluded. Furthermore, by express additional statutory provision, the Chinese are expressly excluded. This, however, leaves open the question: suppose one of these people have been born in Africa. Would the children of Chinese parents, for instance, or Japanese parents, because born in Africa, be of African nativity? Next, what is the meaning of African descent? The Chinaman is not entitled to be admitted to citizenship, but would be half-bred or half-breed. The child of a Negro and the Chinese being entitled to admission because of his mother's or his father's side, he was African descent. Then what is the limitation of African descent? For how many generations would that continue? If the son of an African man by a Chinese woman is entitled to admission by reason of African descent, with the great-great-grandson of the African, although one whose immediate ancestors were Chinese and who lived in China, be entitled to admission by reason of the infinitesimal portion of Negro blood in him. Then what is white? What degree of coloration, if it referred to color, constitutes a white person as against a colored person? And is the court to take responsibility by ocular inspection of determining the shades of different colorization where the dividing line comes between white and colored? The statute as it stands is most uncertain, ambiguous, and difficult both of construction and application, and all that the court can do is to construe it under the test and control of legal rules for the construction of statutes. There have been a number of decisions in which the question has been treated, and the conclusions arrived at in them are unsatisfactory as they are varying. After considering them all in an attempt to evolve, if possible, some definite rule for judicial decision, the conclusion that this court has arrived at is as follows. The meaning of free white persons is to be such as would naturally have been given to it when used in the first Naturalization Act of 1790. Under such interpretation, it would mean by the term, quote, free white persons, end quote, all persons belonging to the European races then commonly counted as white and their descendants. It would not mean a, quote, Caucasian race, end quote, a term generally employed only after the date of the statute and then most loose and indefinite way. It would mean such persons as were in 1790 known as white Europeans with their descendants, including as their descendants in other countries to which they have immigrated, such as the descendants of the English in Africa or Australia, or of the French and Germans and Russians in other countries. This may not ethnologically or physiologically speaking be very clear in logical construction. It includes all European Jews who are of Semitic descent, more or less intermixed with the peoples of European habitancy, viz. with peoples of Celtic, Scandinavian, Teutonic, Iberian, Latin, Greek, and Slavic descent. It includes Magyars, Lapps, and Finns, who are the Ugric stock, and the Basques and Albanians. It includes the mixed Latin, Celtics, Iberian, and Moorish inhabitants of Spain and Portugal, the mixed Greek, Latin, Phoenician, and North African inhabitants of Sicily, and the mixed Slav and Tartar inhabitants of South Russia. It includes people containing many of them blood and very mixed races, but the governing or controlling element or strain in all is supposed to be that of a fair complexion, people of European descent. In 1790, the description of race were not so well known and carefully drawn as they are today. At that date, all Europeans were commonly classed as the white race, and the term, quote, white, end quote, person in the statute then enacted must be construed accordingly. To hold to the pre-blood Chinaman born in England or France was included within the term would be as a fair-fetched as to hold that pure-blooded Englishman, Irishman, or German blood born in China was excluded. To say that the very dark brown, almost black inhabitant of India is entitled to rank as a white person because of the possible or hypothetical infusion of white blood 30 or 40 centuries ago, and to exclude a Chinese or Japanese whose parent on one side was white and who thus possesses manifestly at least one half European blood would seem highly inconsistent if the matter were placed as some decisions would indicate on intellectual status and achievement. Then the Japanese and certain of the Chinese would be fairly entitled to stand with many of the so-called white nations and with the Persi the Brahmin, and the Persian, and far above the Negro races. The law as enacted by Congress give no place for consideration of intellectual or moral qualifications or past achievements in the nation of people. It says that the privileges of citizenship of this country may be extended to, quote, free white persons, end quote, and to the persons of, quote, African nativity, end quote, and, quote, African descent, end quote. It may be that a highly educated and cultivated Japanese or Chinese or Malay or Siamese or whatever is better calculated to make a useful and desirable citizen than a savage from the Guinea coast, but it is not for the courts to give effect to such reasoning. It may also be that the statute as it stands is ambiguous and defective and most difficult of application. All such questions are for the lawmaking department, and the courts can only apply the law as it finds it on the statute book. In the face of all these difficulties, it is safest to follow the reasonable construction of the statute as it would appear to have been intended at the time of its passage, and understand it as restricting the words, quote, free white persons, end quote, to mean as then understood to be of European habitancy or descent. Okay, so this is from, like I said, Othello's Children, New World, and this same book is quoted in Who Were the Moors Before the Moors by Hiawatha Kamene. Now, Hiawatha Kamene understand that the origin of humans comes from Africa, and he even explains it in his book. I flipped through the pages, but not sure where exactly. Let's look for it. No index as well, that's fine. Yeah, you guys should buy this book. Check it out. Oh, he mentions the Twa. So all humans come from the Twa. Twa and Booty. Let me go to that chapter a little bit. Shed some light. Let me go to this table of contents. Okay, so on page 96 of Who Are the Moors Before the Moors, it says here, for the Twa, God is all good and spirit is all good. The Moorish people are the reason that African people, as well as people around the world, are so religious and spiritual. God is not viewed to be positive and negative. God is conceived to be all good. Quote, the Twa people say, quote, he who made the light also made the darkness. If darkness is good. Twa people say that they have received from God a high moral code, quote, that forbids killing, lying, theft, blasphemy, adultery, sorcery, and disrespect towards old people and other forms of antisocial behavior. The Twa gave birth to humanity and civilization, and they are the most highly civilized people on planet Earth. Twa believe that the two worst offenses of people can commit are to harm or disrespect 1. Elders, 2. Children. I think I read that in African Origins of Civilization or Introduction to African Civilization by John G. Jackson. Okay, I'm not familiar with that book. He got that reference by The Integration Trap, the generation gap caused by a choice between two cultures, by Oba Tashaka, PhD, Pan-African Publishers and Distributors, Oakland, California, 2005, page 109, just for the record. Okay. So now we got that out of the hand. Well, out of. Let's go back to this video. It still hasn't loaded. Wow.
We got chapters on the Olympics.
So it finally loaded. So you have these accounts. These accounts that follow our YouTube channel around. They could be a subscriber. I don't know why it's not loading. That's pretty irritating. We're an hour and 8 minutes in. Wow, it's not even loading the comment. I don't know what it's doing. Yeah, I tried to show you all some accounts that are basically against African Moorish history, and they've been commenting on my comments. Okay, so I guess I can show a little snippet of this. So these accounts have been following me around. I'm gonna show it up here since it won't load down here for some reason. Okay, that's a good size. Y'all can see the screen. So I commented on this video about 3 days ago. this same account has been following our YouTube channel, our comments. Every time I comment, the YouTube account is against African Moorish history, anything of African Moorish history. This account is against it, and this is a faceless account. I don't know what's going on with the loading here. Oh, this is irritating.
For the Moors, before the Moors, because we tend to, Brother Amadeus, focus on the years 711 to 14.
So if you can see the comments here, I'm trying to load it, but every time I do that, it's
But
loaded.
who were the Moors that went into
I don't know what that is.
Who were they in 709? Who were they in 707?
I don't know what that is. So if you see here, look,
The Olympics.
not a
The
Moor,
Olympics
but your ancestors were sub-Saharan
come from
Africans. Glad
Nigeria.
you know that little guy.
Comes from the word, comes from the language of the
Except
Yoruba.
you have no degree or
Of West
anything. You
Nigeria.
just regurgitate nonsense, disproving history you find on YouTube while making terrible anime edits.
Mountain.
So whoever this account is,
That's where the Greeks got Mount Olympus.
they are against anything
See, the point that I'm trying to make
of
right
African
now
Moorish
is something
history.
that Dr. Clark used to always tell me and tell us. We're always focused on Egypt.
And the same as though
All
there's
of Africa.
counterintelligence that they're spreading. This account right here, there's a counterintelligence that this account is spreading. MW3309. Anywhere that this account comments on African Moorish, whatever, they never give any evidence. It's just slander in regards to African Moorish anything. Okay? So we had a comment that I replied to. And this is Poetics Earthwide. Okay, anyone know what are some of the aspects from the work of Diop, Clark, and Woodson that have been made more accurate by more recent scholars?
And Theophilio Benga, Sheikh Hunter Diop, and Dr. John Henry Clark, and I went to Mexico, with Ivan Van Sertima in 84. I studied with the masters. And what I've attempted to do in my books is to bring their information to a place and to be able to teach it to our people in a way that they can assimilate the information. But I also know that there's money to be made in pimping Egyptian history. And if people knew that the people that built the pyramids look more like Theophilio Benga than Zahi Hawass, they might not want to come.
So let's go back to the comment. Let's see here. So this YouTube account was looking for some more accurate, more recent scholars that are able to make these scholars' information more accurate. So I replied, I am an upcoming scholar. I critique Job's error in his book, quote, The African Origin of Civilization, end quote, pages 92 and 328 through 329, on the etymology of the word, quote, Moor. In one of my live streams, which I discovered through Dr. Ivan Van Sertima's book, quote, The Golden Age of the Moor, end quote, 1993, page 187. Dr. Jose V. Pimenta Bay recognized this error and touched on it in his book, quote, Othello's Children, The New World, end quote, page 2003, page 26. So you have this same account, cyberbully, anti-African Moorish account, MW3309, reply to me, you are not in any way a scholar, laughing emoji. You can't even make full sentences or structure a paragraph properly. So I replied, the key here is the word, quote, upcoming, end quote. So if you see here, I made a short sentence, I am an upcoming scholar. Obviously, the anti-African Moor accounts, which includes you, cannot even read a sentence. So this is what this account failed to do. Except you aren't. Laughing emoji. You have no degree or anything. You just regurgitate nonsense disproving history you find on YouTube while making terrible anime edits. Which is just slow down music you put zero effort into everything you do in life. So I replied, actually I do have a degree. However, the more important thing is that the African Moors against whom you are spreading your counterintelligence create the alphabet that comes from Africa. We have Albert Churchwood, Signs and Symbols of Primordial Man, 1913, page 43. I would show it on the screen. I'll show it on the screen just for shits and giggles, just to show that clearly whoever is behind this account does not know what they're talking about. That's what I wanted to do. So whoever is behind this account, MW309, they are against African Moorish history, and anything dealing with African Moorish history, they're against it. So if you see here, since MW, hang on, since at MW3309 doesn't want to reply every time I put some evidence that he doesn't provide. He doesn't have no evidence to present, just slander. So this is Signs and Symbols by Primordial Man. We already showed this on our previous live stream. So these cursive characters really form the first alphabet that ever existed, and from these Phoenician and hence all other alphabets emanated. Eusebius, Plato, and Tacitus all state that the Phoenicians did not claim to be themselves the inventors of the art of writing, but admitted that it was attained by them from Egypt. Therefore, the Egyptians were the inventors of the alphabet. Okay? So, didn't I say right here that the Africans created the alphabet and it comes from Africa? And I provide my reference. Now this is this reference, right? This is one. So while MW3309 has provided no evidence, just laughing emojis and not giving any evidence, not trying to help anybody in regards to African Moorish history, just hide behind this faceless account and always have something to say against African Moorish history or African Moors or Moorish science, while not providing any information, just slander of African Moorish history, just type in the search bar Moors and go to wherever and slander whoever that he deems to have knowledge on the subject. While he continues to do this, there are people that don't know African Moorish history. So they're viewing from the outside, seeing who's telling the truth, right? Seeing the people that don't know African Moorish history are looking from the outside, who's telling the true African Moorish history, right? Who's providing the evidence? Who's giving the information that's not going to be behind the paywall, right? So you have accounts like MW3309 that basically just goes around and share misinformation and counterintelligence against anything of African Moorish history. And as you can see, if you notice, accounts like him tend to like their own comments. As you see, I'm not liking my own comments. On some of my videos, I like my own videos, right? But when it comes to comments, I don't see it deem it necessary to like my own comment, right? So, but as you see, he provides no evidence, and I provide my evidence, my reference that I just provided here, page 43, right? So let's go to the Negro rulers of Scotland and British Isles. I said Africans created the alphabet that comes from Africa, right? Okay, so if we go to, let me bring up the Negro rulers of Scotland and British Isles. So that's one book. Right? So we bring up Negro rulers of Scotland and British Isles, right? And we're going to go to page 193. 198. So, this is the unyielding truth. Let me try and get y'all so y'all can see the whole page, or my head is in the way. Hang on. Bear with me a moment. Let me make this so y'all can see it. Okay, it's not. I'm trying to adjust everything. I'm just move this temporarily because it's in the way. Wow, it's taking a long time to load. So accounts, YouTube accounts, social media accounts like MW3309, you know, they're faceless, so they have something to hide. They're just like the X report card. They're just like Still Divine Tracy, who hide their face but always got something to say against black people or African Moorish people. I don't know what it's doing. It's taking forever. This is irritating because I just pulled up the page. I'm not sure what's going on with the loading. Yeah, I have to solve this issue because this is slowing us down. I want to show you all the evidence, but it's like the computer is going, the PC is going slow. It's very annoying. Alright, forget it. I'm gonna bring up a screenshot that I took, since this is gonna take forever. So this is a screenshot that I took. since I kind of knew that it was gonna like. This is the same page. So it says here. This is the same page, right? Look, pay attention now. This is the same page. 190. Hang on, let me bring it up. I got a lot of windows open. So pay attention. Y'all see down here, the Negro Rulers of Scotland and British Isles, page 198. So if you look here, I'm gonna start right here. This is the unyielding truth. The German, oh man, I don't know how to get that out the way. So I'm gonna just start here. The Africans also invented the world's first alphabet, the concept of the universe, government, king, queen, religion, medicine, the study of anatomy, hospitals, the skill of surgery, spectacles, the textile industry, universities, metaphysics, chemistry, military techniques, navigational instruments, propellers, sea vessels, diving equipment, aeronautics, computers, philosophy, and mathematical sciences, a marvelous accomplishment that led to the development of Western civilization. Okay. As y'all see, it's still loading. I don't know what's going on. Let's put that right there back. Alright, so let's go on to the next reference by John G. Jackson, page 121. So I already presented two references already, showing that the alphabet comes from Africa, right? But you have MW3309 counts like this. Excerpt, he didn't spell except. Excerpt, you aren't. Laughing emoji. You have no degree or anything, you just regurgitate nonsense, disproven history you find on YouTube while making terrible anime edits, which is just slow down music you put zero effort into everything you do in life. Okay? So this is the cyberbullying that's going on, and to somebody that isn't familiar with African Moorish history, they can't check account like MW3309, faceless account that hides like a coward and doesn't provide any evidence, right? So we have this book, Introduction to African Civilization by John G. Jackson. Let me show the title just so you know. This book. So this is page 121. The same is shown right here on this reference, right? Now this is how you cross-reference. Okay? So if you see on the screen, if you follow my cursor on the screen, so we have here, among the great inventions of the Egyptians were the alphabet. Now I can just stop right there, but let's continue. Paper, ink, and the pen. The first paper was made of thin strips of papyrus reeds, pasted together. Ink was made from vegetable gum and soup mixed with water. By dipping a point of reed into the ink, Egyptian scribes wrote messages on the papyrus sheet. Writing was a basic invention, and its influence on the evolution of civilization was profound. Okay? Let me repeat this, because we seem to have a misunderstanding of Africans' contributions to the planet, and it's taken for granted by ignorant people, like, or ignorant accounts like MW3309 who hide behind faceless content, but also like the report card who just slander African black history and etc. and justify the evilness done by Europeans to the African Moors, or quote unquote black people, throughout the centuries and millennia. Okay, so let's go back to show the third reference of John G. Jackson's Introduction to Civilization, 1970, page 121. Okay, so let me just show you that this is the same Introduction to African Civilization, 121, right? So I just showed two references already. Well, actually three references already, that the Africans are responsible for the alphabet and writing. But whoever this account is, they just slander and provide no evidence, nothing. And they hide, it's just slander and you suck and blah 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 this and white, you have no degree, you just regurgitate, you accomplish nothing in life, etc. All this cyberbullying, right? So let's read this again. Let me zoom in just in case you can't see. Okay? Hang on. Can y'all see it fine? So I'm going to start up here. Among the great inventions of the Egyptians were the alphabet, paper, ink, and the pen. The first paper was made of thin strips of papyrus reeds pasted together. Ink was made from vegetable gum and soot mixed with water. By dipping a pointed reed into the ink, the Egyptian scribe wrote messages on the papyrus sheet. Writing was a basic invention, and its influence on the evolution of civilization was profound. Quote, the invention of writing and of the convenient system of records on paper, end quote, says Breasted, quote, has had a greater influence in the uplifting of the human race than any other intellectual achievement in the career of man. It was more important than all the battles ever fought and all the constitutions ever devised, end quote. Ancient Times, page 45, by James Henry Breasted. Now, who's James Henry Breasted? Let's go to James Henry Breasted. Now, who's James Henry Breasted? Let's go to Wikipedia, because that's what everybody likes to use. That's what is available to everybody, right? Let's go to Wikipedia and look up James Henry Breasted. Alright, James Henry Breasted. Y'all can see the screen? Okay, cool. August 27, 1865 through December 2nd, 1935. Was an American archaeologist, Egyptologist, and historian. After completing his PhD at the University of Berlin in 1894, the first American to attain a doctorate in Egyptology. He joined the faculty of the University of Chicago. In 1901, he became director of the Haskell Oriental Museum at the university, where he continued to concentrate on Egypt. In 1905, Breasted was promoted to full professor and held the first chair in Egyptology and Oriental history in the United States. Breasted was a committed field researcher in Egypt and the Levant, and had a productive interest in recording and interpreting ancient writings, especially from the sources and structures that he feared may be lost forever. In 1919, he founded the Oriental Institute, later known as the Institute for the Study of Ancient Cultures, at the University of Chicago, a center of interdisciplinary study of ancient civilization. That same year, he was elected to the American Philosophical Society. Okay, so according to Breasted, quote, the invention of writing and of the convenient system of records on paper, end quote, says Breasted, quote, has had greater influence in the uplifting of the human race than any other intellectual achievement in the career of man. It was more important than all the battles ever fought and all the constitutions ever devised, end quote. Ancient Times, page 45, by James Henry Breasted. Now let's go to James Henry Breasted reference that I showed down here. To the cyber bully MW3309. While he's laughing and making fun of African Moorish history with emojis and slander and providing no evidence, I provided 4 references showing that the Africans are responsible for writing and the alphabet. This account, or this person, seemed to not understand the origin of Homo sapiens. We already explained this. Mitochondrial Eve. Come on now. Now the people from the outside that don't understand African Moorish history, they see comments like this, and it's like, who are these people? Why are they saying this? And there's no answer. It's just a faceless content creator that's making money off of slandering black, quote unquote, black people and hiding African Moorish history. So Breasted, let's go to this reference. Ancient Times by James Henry Breasted, 1916. Let me bring this over here. Final reference. Now, why aren't these Moorish Science Temple members saying this? Why isn't Sabir Bey saying this while he's saying Al-Fasad is Kemet, and Kemet is a Greek word? You got Sabir Bey, the Sabir Bey Show. Make sure you give him subscribe. Go give him some Zelle money. Go give him some cash out money. Go help him out, because he's been doing this for 30 years, and he's been doing radio for 30 years, right? But he seems to not understand the origin of the alphabet. So on page 45 by James Henry Breasted, if you see here, you can see the URL, right? You see a URL, you can type in yourself. So page 45, the story of Egypt. Breasted says here, the invention of writing and of the convenient system of records on paper has had greater influence in the uplifting the human race than any other intellectual achievement in the career of man. It was more important than all the battles ever fought and all the constitutions ever devised. Now, but these accounts, MW3309, always got something to say on African Moorish history, always got something to say on the Egyptian Moors, or the Egyptians, or the Kemites, or whatever you want to call them, the dark-skinned Africans that created the alphabet. No, it didn't come from the Phoenicians, it came from the Egyptians, or Kemites. Africans. So why aren't these other African Moorish YouTube channels saying this? Why aren't these PhDs, legum doctors, Juris doctors saying this? This, come on now. I just showed 4 references showing that the Africans are responsible for the alphabet and writing. I just showed 4 by legum doctors and PhDs. You just seen James Henry Breasted, PhD, University of Berlin. Albert Churchward. Churchward. Oh, they don't have a wiki. They don't got a wiki page of Albert Churchward. Let's go to Albert Churchward then, since they hiding them. Dr. Albert Churchward was a Mason. There's no Wikipedia page on. Let's go to Google Books. About the author. Dr. Albert Churchward, 1852 through 1925, was a Mason and a member of the Geological Society of London. He was a well-respected author of the books delving into the evolution of symbols through history and the origin and evolution of religion, signs and symbols of primordial man, and the origin and evolution of the human race. Why isn't there information about Albert Churchward on Wikipedia? You know why? Because he told the truth. Look, there ain't no Wikipedia page of Albert Churchward, but he's a well-respected scholar, right? They're hiding it. So, Negro rulers already showed their credentials. It's on our official website. You go to our blog. You go to our various blogs. I got the biography of Dr. John L. Johnson, John G. Jackson. We already showed them on our last live stream. So we got these fake accounts, and you got accounts sharing misinformation and no evidence. Well, I just provide evidence showing that the alphabet and writing came from the Africans. So, cyberbullying of the so-called black people. That wraps up this live stream. I thank y'all for tuning in. I had to talk a little bit louder. Please forgive me for that. Please forgive me for the delay in the startup today. We were busy in our creation of slow-moed Moorish portal. So yeah, we gotta get back to work. We gotta get back to these experiments, and we got more slow-moed Moorish portals coming to y'all in the near future. So make sure y'all tune in, and without that, yeah, make sure y'all buy our merchandise. Also, this is our latest product, slow-moed transported. So make sure y'all buy our product, and I will see y'all next week, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And make sure y'all hit that subscribe, like, and comment. And we are out until next time. Deuces.